Hello and welcome to the common. Are we going? Sorry, I heard Henrik laughing in the background, and I thought he's having me on here. Is it? So
we're live.
We are live. We are live. Hello there. Sorry about that. The technical glitches and whatever. Here we go. Anybody would like to think we're pros, but it's clear that we're still learning. And here we are again on this glorious sunny day. Show number 28, I think, although we've missed that many that I'm not quite sure where we've got to. We've had our summer holidays, we're all refreshed, and we didn't forget that we were asked to have a look at Integromat. So that's what we're going to do today. However, before we get started, we need to hand over to Henrik to say hello and where all the housekeeping, please, Henrik.
Yeah, hello and welcome to the show. First of all, can everybody see the screen and can you hear us out there? So give us a shout in the chat if you can hear us and see us. So we know that we not on the wrong track. So hopefully you will all be able to see us. Yes.
Oh,
okay.
A lot of yeses. There's a packed house there today.
Yeah, and they have all subscribed to the channel as well, so we are happy. Should you be in the position that you haven't done that yet, subscribe to a channel because we might drop in with, let's say, new lessons in terms of this very, very sophisticated tool that we're looking at today.
And, of course, when we tell you what we're going to tell you later, it will be very important to be subscribed to the channel. But more of that in a while. Suspense. There we go, yeah. Henrik. So, Henrik, what have you got to tell us about the wonderful world of Integromat?
Yeah, let me share my screen first. So, just a second here. See if I can manage that.
I will say, while Henrik is firing up his browser, etc. Who was it who mentioned this? Was it Scott? I think it might have been Scott.
Yeah.
When we started talking about Zapier and the other one, IFTTT, he said, "Have you looked at this?" So we thought, okay, let's go and have a look. And of course, it was worthy of a mention, if nothing else, and that's why we brought it into the mix today. So yes, Henrik, take it away.
So everybody can see my screen now, I presume, and you should be able now to see a dashboard for Integromat. So just a second here. The first thing I want to show to you is actually the pricing for Integromat, because as you will understand a little bit later, it could be a quite expensive one if you actually try to max it out. They have a free plan where you get what they call 1,000 operations per month and 100 megabyte data transfer. I'll come back to that. And then they have a basic version, like Zapier has a basic version. Here you'll get 10,000 operations and 1 gigabyte of data transfer. So with that in mind, let's go down a little bit and just look at the intervals where you execute triggers in the system. So if you're on the free plan, you have 15 minutes. And if you're on a basic plan, you will be able to execute your triggers each 5 minutes. Then you have another little feature which you should be aware of, that you have one data store in the free version where you can store max 1 megabyte. And in the basic version, you have 3 data stores where you can store 10 megabytes. And there is some restrictions on the files operations that you can do, where you can have max 5 megabyte in one single file on the free one, and up to 30 megabyte on the basic one. And then there's another one you should look at, we will only mention it today, but webhooks, you can have max 10 webhooks on the free version and 100 on the basic versions. So that's basically what you have to be aware of. And then, of course, what doesn't make sense is actually you only have limited customer support. And why I'm saying it doesn't make sense is that you have a really complex system to get into, and that's maybe a disadvantage for them to go on that route. I have to say, whilst I'm sharing the screen, I can't see your questions, so we will answer them later. But let's go into Integromat's dashboard. In the dashboard, you will see which accounts you are operating under, how many operations, and how much data transfer that you have made. You will have an ability to add users to the platform as well. We haven't done that. And then the next thing you'll go into is what they call scenarios. Scenarios is those flows or triggers or apps, we call them apps in Zapier, the apps that you can build up. You have a possibility to turn them on and off over here. And then you have the templates. I will just go briefly into the templates because I'll give you an overview of all the pre-made models that you can use. And that's where you get a little bit overwhelmed because there's tons and tons and tons of different apps or models that you can use. And if you just take a look at this one, where you can say you have one which trigger one, you have something which is called a router, which means that the data that's coming from the monday.com to the router can actually be distributed to different, let's say, branches, so to speak. And you can see here you have a Zendesk where you have an aggregator, you have a Google Chrome app, and then you have a router, and then you go to various directions as well there. So you can actually build up quite complicated structures in here, and with a variety of different apps in there. And what could be of interest is that you have what you call an HTTP model, where you can take data from an HTTP request, i.e. from a web site, and then place that into adjacent storage and use that data for further manipulation, i.e. you can build on that. But it's all give you quite an impressive variation down here. So if you go in here and you want to search, you go to the filter one up here, and then say if we want the Google apps, you can see here an overview of what's available in Google. Google Forms, Google Data Studio, Google Calendars, Google Sheets, which should ring a bell to somebody.
Is My Business on there? I mean, Google My Business. No.
That's your business. Do you have a business?
No, yeah. No, just hobbies.
No, what I'm experimenting with is to see whether I can make some kind of a webhook up to the Google My Business website, and see if we can create a trigger there. So whenever we are making a Google post in the Google My Business, it will be posted to the GMB, and then see if I can grab that and use that. So if I'm able to do that, we'll come back to that.
And one was the question: is Google Search in there as well, then, or not?
The Google Analytics, Google Calendar, Google Cloud
Ah,
Prints, Google
right.
Cloud Speeds, Cloud Vision, Contacts, Google Data Studio, Google Drive, Google Forms, Google Hangouts, Google Chrome, Google Maps, Google Photos, Google Photos Beta, Google Sheets, and Google Task. And the last down here is Google Team Drive and Google Translations. So there's a lot. But you will have a lot, and you have RSS feeds. Be aware of one thing when it says WordPress here. It's not your WordPress standalone site. It's WordPress.com or .org, where you can hook up to that one. But if you want to, for instance, make an app where you take the feed from your WordPress site, you take an RSS feed, and then you can then send that to a blogger, for instance. I'll show you that in a little later. So that's the pre-made templates. You have here what you call connections. That means that the services you're being connected up to. We have, I can just show it briefly here. So I've just created a few. You have webhooks, you have keys. Keys, that's the API keys that you have. Devices is the devices that you can hook up to it. Data storage is the data stores that you have created. And they override with something they call data structures as well. And then you have what they call My Apps. My Apps enables you actually to build flows and have that as a pre-made apps which you can use in the system. It's a little bit more complicated. Then you have organizations. So you can create a new organization and have people attached to an organization as well. Then we have what's new features, which will show a listing of the new features that they have been putting up. And you can see Pluto has been added to that one. And I did find one a little bit further down, which was one I thought will be quite interesting because they say LinkedIn. And then when I tried to set that up today, it failed, but maybe that's a problem. But you can see they have tons and tons and tons of apps and services that you can. Then you have the possibility to go down, have a new feature request, and you will have notification as well. So then you have the help section down there. So let's go back here and take a look at one of the scenarios as I did today. So I will try to load this one up. And my basic idea was connect my YouTube channel here. If you connect a YouTube channel, you have to set up a YouTube API key for the YouTube data API. And then when that's connected, you will be able to go in and look at. Here's my connection. What I want to watch is my videos. I'm taking the playlist for Common Sense SEO. I have the number of returned videos, which is just put it to 2 in order to reduce the amount of transactions that I'm doing here. And then I thought I could create a link into my LinkedIn profile. And talking about your SEO reach, that could be quite powerful if that could be possible. So the problem was that I couldn't connect my LinkedIn profile. I tried to do it, but unfortunately it came up and say the service was deprecated. So I'll see if I can find a way around, or is it just an error, so we can come back to that, because that's actually quite good little feature to be able to add it on to your syndication of your Web.2 profiles. So Unfortunately, that wasn't possible. You can see here I have set up another one. Let's see if it can load. So here I have made an RSS feed where I have just gone in and taken the feed from the URL. Then I didn't put in a date from, so it would take everything to date state. And I said I want to load a maximum of 10 items. And then I said, okay, it would be nice to be able to go in here and connect my Blogger. And then when I'm in there, I could add the title of the post in here. I can have the content here, and I can go in and either decide what I want to just as a draft in the first instance, I will schedule it, or put it live immediately in there. So by this, you can actually, whenever you post to your WordPress blog, send it to your WordPress or your Blogger account. And when you have your blog IFTTT network attached to the blog account, that post will be syndicated out through the system. You can do the same on IFTTT, and that will save you a lot of, let's say, credits, because if you have a quite high traffic of posting, that will create a lot of create a lot of traffic, and then it will use a lot of operations here. You can see here there's a connection. If I click on that connection, I can go in and actually put on conditions, various conditions into the system, where you can go in and choose from different functions, dates, arrays, functions. So there's a quite complicated logic that you can set up for that trigger. So when it goes from the RSS feed to the Blogger, you can actually decide what goes in and what will be, say, routed out. If you add what you call a router here, what will happen is that you can have the RSS feed going into the router, and then the router will go to the Blogger. Just a second. But then you can add another other model here. So if you add another model, say you want to go to, let's say, your Android phone. No, we put it into Evernote, for example. So if you want to go put it into Evernote, you can create a note for each of the posts, put in connection to Evernote, put in the title, put in the content, any attachments, you can add them as well if that will be the case. I'm just closing this one again. But what you can see is, based upon a trigger here, you can route it in different directions. And there's no limit to how many you can route it out, but it costs an operation each time you do it. So that's basically an overview of the trigger, the router, the different, let's say, targets for the data to go to. But you can do so much more, and there will be really a special training program to teach you all the possibilities that you have in here. But it's definitely an extremely powerful and an extremely versatile system. So just for a second, let's take some questions to see if there's any questions so far. So I'll stop sharing my screen, and I'll go back and look at the the comments. Any questions out there? Silence.
So out of the three, what are you saying? Is there a sense that one is better than the other, or do you think that out of the Zapier, IFTTT, and Integromat, or do you think that it's horses for courses? You know, this one might be good for this application, and IFTT is better for something else.
Well, to be honest, we have to look at the costs. So if it's plain vanilla, things that you want to do, and then you can go to IFTTT and build up a layered structure. I.e., if you have, for example, your YouTube channel as one of the triggers. So whenever you upload a YouTube and you syndicate that out to a network, and at the same time you can have an RSS feed, which is also triggered and syndicated out to a network, and you can have a third trigger, but it takes a lot of time to set that up. But if you want more sophisticated logic built into it, then you can go in and use routers, you can use webhooks, you can filter data. So it's rather sophisticated, but you need a little bit of technical skills to put up a powerful solution. But it's definitely something to look into, because that could be really, really powerful.
Yeah, I think because this has got 1,000, hasn't it, as its baseline, whereas I think Zapier that's got 500. But I suppose it depends on how they use those credits up, doesn't it, on the free plan? I mean, so it looks like this is better value, but what you're saying is you can quite easily use them up quickly.
That's the problem, because let's take an example. You take an email coming in, and there's 10 emails in that search for emails that fulfill your filter requirements. That could be, for instance, that you are looking for orders or order numbers in a subject line. If you then have what they call an iteration in it, that will go through all those 10 emails and capture data from those 10 emails, which means that the first one is one transaction, the iteration is 10 transaction, and when you take that data and put into a data store or to a router or whatever, then there's 10 transactions coming in there. So if you do trigger it several times a day, then you can actually quite fast burn off all your operations. That's the disadvantage that I'm seeing for it.
Yeah, well, that's worth knowing. I mean, apparently the interface looks a lot more logical on Integromat. This is what I'm hearing anyway. People are saying that the actual interface itself looks a lot more welcoming.
Yep.
Yeah. Probably because it's probably a little bit more modern. I don't know, but it's worth a try, isn't it? It's worth getting in there for your 1,000 free credits, or your 1,000 free, whatever they're called, operations a month, and giving it a shot and seeing where your imagination takes you. I mean, if you think about it, then we look at the tools like the Ranking Factory and stuff like that. It just goes to show, doesn't it, what amazing value you're getting off those tools, Backlink Factory, all those sorts of things, because it's doing a serious amount of processing with a click of a button almost. And if you tried to build your own with this tool here, it costs you a serious amount of money. And
one of the features in here is actually you can set up a scenario where you use the S3 app, which will go in and read, for instance, a specific bucket. So whenever you put in a new file into a bucket, you can take that information, the URL from that information, and use that to push somewhere else. And that should make a bell ringing for some of the guys who are in either Backlink Factory or Ranking Factory. That could really push push some juice out to other locations.
Yeah, that's valuable information as well, isn't it? Because I think there's a lot of the conversations at the moment going on are around the use of S3 buckets, aren't they, for whatever, but mostly for ranking and for SEO purposes. It's it's a valuable asset. Yeah, so that's good. Okay, is there any? If there's any, yeah,
there's a few questions out there.
Oh, that's what I'm just
Comments.
saying. Yeah.
Terry Power says appears to be worth having a look at. Yes, Terry, we can confirm that. And Stephen McCormack say router can be used to segregating of data flow. Yes, and you can actually filter before it comes into the router. So that's another powerful feature on which Terry says this can be combined. Yes. And then there's a question, what is a webhook? A webhook is actually, you can say, a listener. So you have an HTTP request when you go into a website, and you can go in and take the parameter from that HTTP request, and then you can have Integromat to listen to that. So whenever something new comes into the URL that you're targeting, the webhook will discover that, and then you can do with that data, i.e. it can capture that data and you can do it with whatever you want. So that's definitely something that I'll try to dig into it, because Patrick was asking, can we use that for GMB post? I think that's one of the things that we can try to experiment with, to see whether we can, on the DMB website in itself, make a webhook up to the post URLs. So whenever we have some new post, that would trigger something in Integromat, and what we can do with that. That's.
I guess the word of warning there is, though, you just got to be aware that people do change the formats of these target URLs. So just be aware
that's the general, say, risk you're operating with here, that you have something which is not stable because you're not in control of the say, initiator, or the one that triggering the service. So
yeah, so it's always, you've got to keep an eye on it. Don't just trust it. Don't
no.
Yeah. just keep an eye on what's going on, and also keep an eye on those credits clocking up.
Yeah, and that's what I see as the major risk, because let's take an example that you're using S3 to gather your URLs from the buckets. You push that up out to Google Calendar, and the calendar will do whatever in terms of recurring events or whatever you're trying to do with it. And if that accumulates up, that could be a lot of transactions. Or if you have a calendar which you want to, each event, you can actually take that and put into a Google Sheet. So you have the URL from the Google Calendar, you have the description or the event description for the URL calendar, which you feed into the Google Sheet. And for each row that you put into that, and those who are normally using the RFR calendar will know that you create 48 events a day. So that will start triggering away the operations in the system.
Okay.
Any more questions out there? Guys.
Well, what I'm gonna, if there are any more questions, obviously we'll come to them as we go along, because we're going to sort of, obviously we've done the 30 minutes, well, minus the 5 minutes we missed at the beginning, but we're going to sort of just talk about the future a little bit. Not that we know anything much about what's going to happen in the future, except for the show itself. Now, what we've been discussing, because we just had this summer break, and we actually like having a break. It's nice to disappear up a mountain, or maybe I sat in a different chair once or something like that, just for, yeah. But anyway, the it's nice to it's what we decided was that putting the shows out every week is we're finding topics and we're going through them, and it's quite a lot of work, and yeah, that's basically it, really. So what we thought of is we're probably going to put the shows out because we've got lots of other projects on. As you know, Henrik's an incredibly busy person, and I'm a relatively busy person too. And putting these shows in, it is a lot of work. And so we wanted to make sure that we kept the benefit going there. We wanted to keep in contact with everybody. We wanted to keep putting the information out there as well. But we have to be mindful of the fact that we have to get our work done. Plus, that involves all the research we do around these shows and everything else as well, and all the different test sites we've got going on in the background to bring the information out to you. So we decided that we'd probably put it out once a month. We haven't decided yet necessarily when it will go out each month, and we might put out a question to ask what sort of time suits most people. But I know what will happen if we do put out a questionnaire for time, and we'll get one person voting for every different time that's available. So it sometimes that's a thankless task trying to ask, because everybody's got their own personal preferences. We've got so anyway, that's what we'll do, and we'll let you know. This will start, we probably won't, I don't know whether we're not planning on doing a show next week, maybe just for the end of August. We'll probably start the first week of September, maybe then go each week, the first week of each month. We're not just stopping there, though. This is the intention. If we feel that there's a need to do something more, like dig deeper into Integromat or dig deeper into WordPress speed, or whatever topic it is that we feel is current and needs attention, and there's people out there that need that extra information, then we're looking at doing specials, which might again only be one a month. But that's why you need to be subscribed, because the specials will not be along a certain schedule. We're not going to force a special, because then it's not a special, it's another show. So obviously, when we find the information, when we need to put a special out there on a certain topic, the alerts will come out through anybody that's subscribed. So please do subscribe if you're not subscribed already. And like I say, just keep an eye out for what we're doing, because we are approachable. You can hit us up pretty much anywhere. We're fairly easy to locate anyway. So you can always ask. You can always put suggestions in for shows if there's much more information you need on a certain topic, and we're willing to look at that. We're willing to get the advice out to you as best we possibly can. We hope that this suits with everybody's feelings, and I'm sure it's a chore actually for a lot of people that really want to keep turning. Those that turn up week after week after week, it's also a commitment to you guys as well. We respect your time just as much as we respect our own, and I hope this is a good compromise that we work to, and at the end of the day, it's all about delivering quality and value to you guys out there, and the information you need to maximize your time and your return on investment. Henrik, what would you like to say to that or add to that?
Well, we can add that just today I got a confirmation from someone who has a quite unique product out, which has something to do with video. I need to discuss further with him, but let that be a teaser, because that could be quite interesting. Yeah, we will try to maybe shoot some small live videos now and then out of the ordinary schedule, if there's something that we feel that should be pushed out to you before the monthly that we are planning to do. So
yeah, no, I mean, I must, I'll tell you that, the stuff that goes on behind the scenes over at Common Sense SEO it's just mind-boggling. It really is. I mean, you've seen the discussions that go on in the backlink factory. Not so much these days in ranking factory. There's not so much talk about strategies and tactics there, but some of the things that's going on, the discussions. There's some really remarkable stuff that we're doing. We've got test businesses out there that we keep on the books purely because, although clients are always frustrating, everybody knows that, but we keep these people on the books because we can test strategies and we can test them on our own sort of dummy businesses as well. Honestly, there's some serious stuff going out with local, with affiliate, with various different avenues of online marketing. So this stuff that's going to come through from all of this work that we're doing will be of serious value and it's about us taking that time out as well to put the things that are worthwhile together in a meaningful way. So yeah. I think that's me done, really. I'm going to pass back to you, Henrik, in 1 second. I want to thank everybody for turning up again today. I truly respect everybody's time for being here, and I really value all the comments and following and support that we had in the weekly shows, and I hope that you understand and follow us into the future and on into the monthlies and the specials. So, Henrik, over to you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, everybody, for being on the show today. And even though that we couldn't go into a specific training on Integromat, I know you would have a lot of questions. And as you know me, I will, of course, dig into the rabbit hole and see what I can find in there. And if I find the rabbit, I'll pull it up and tell you about it. So take care. Thank you for today. See you around. Bye-bye.